And we are live here on another edition of 15 Minutes of Game with J&D, the Friday edition. So we're going to have a little fun. Not really doing the sports thing today, Jay. What are we doing?
We're doing crushes from the 80s. I got this Valley Girl at like 3 a.m. about a week back. Whatever happened to Deborah Foreman, the star of that? And that put me down the rabbit hole of looking other girls up. And I was like, what were my 3 favorite crushes from the 80s? Like 20 minutes because there were reasons that it took a lot to come up with this list of 3. Let's just put it that way.
When you pitched this idea to me, I was like, I love it. And then I was like actually trying to narrow it down today. And I'm like, man, this is homework.
Yes, this was hard.
Pain. It was fun, though, but it was a pain. I was like, I got to cross you off. And trying to figure out what determines what. Now, for other people out there, in the modern age, it's so much easier to find things you want if you're celebrity stalking or whatever. Back when Jay and I were teenagers and younger men, we had to rely on, actually renting movies at a place you'd have to go to rent movies. Or if you were lucky, you might have cable, which back then was still only like an extra 20 channels. And maybe you'd catch one of those movies. Or you'd actually go to the theater or things like that.
Or they were on a show that came on every week, which is one of mine. She was on a show that was on every week.
One of mine is on that too, actually.
Well, all right. Well, I guess we will start. Well, I'll let you go with your number 3. Go ahead.
My number 3 actually is Erika Eleniak.
Erika, the blonde who was on Growing Pains also, right? Is that Erika Eleniak?
I think she was on there for I think she was like Kirk Cameron's love interest on Growing Pains for some point. But most famously, probably for Baywatch is what she ended up being on. That was the biggest thing she did. Under Siege with Steven Seagal. And was that Gary Busey or Nick Nolte? I used to always mix them up back then. Okay, yeah. So she had a very provocative scene in that movie. She comes out.
I believe that's what. And Kirk Cameron got her kicked off the show because he was Joe Religious. And he could not work with someone who had been in a scene like that. And that's when Erika Eleniak's career on Growing Pains ended because of Kirk Cameron.
Now, she was in Playboy. I think that's how she
also in
got
Playboy,
her big...
yes. Yep. I can't remember.
9, I want to say.
Something around there.
My brother had a subscription from the time he was like 14.
My number 3, Molly Ringwald. How can Molly Ringwald not be on anybody's list?
Yeah. So who's your 3?
She pretty much formed, every guy's crush in the 80s. She was cute, but she was accessible. But then I read she hated the way she looked. And I was like, Molly, honey, you were like every guy I know crush in the 80s, Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club. I mean, Molly Ringwald was it for a little bit. Every John Hughes movie, basically. Yeah,
right.
Nothing major,
John
but
Hughes,
she was in
helped make her career.
Confession of
she still does stuff too, doesn't she?
Pregnant mother, I know I have it wrong, but something like that, where she played the mom of a girl who got pregnant in high school. No, it was on some channel. I just remember going, wow, Molly Ringwald's back. So,
was that a Lifetime
who's your
movie?
number 2? Oh, that's a great one.
All right, so my number 2
wait a minute.
is Vanity.
Yes.
Do you remember Vanity?
Yes.
Her real name was Denise Matthews, and she passed away pretty young, actually. I think it was 2 years ago. I think she passed. Okay, so one of my all-time favorite movies is The Last Dragon. Okay, Shonuff and Bruce Leroy. and Vanity was the female lead in that. And I think she just brought this air of sophistication that I hadn't seen, I guess. And I mean, I'm sure I'd seen it. I just never was attracted to it. That was the first time I was like, wow, she was like a woman, you know, not like a girl. She was a woman. And I was like,
she was
I don't know what it was.
Leader of the Mary Jane
She actually bared it all in a Carl Weathers movie, Action Jackson.
That was one of Prince's vehicles. Oh.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Oh, Vanity.
Yeah, because Vanity actually was multi-talented. She was actually
my number
a pretty
2
singer and
Kelly
LeBrock and all that.
Weird Science. Do I have to say any more? Oh. Also, she was in a movie with Gene Wilder, and all of a sudden I can't think of the movie, but it was like, you know, there were certain people when they came on the screen the first time you saw them, you were like, who is that? Kelly LeBrock did it for me in Weird Science. Oh. But then she got married to, I think, Steven Seagal. I think she did. And that kind of ended it for
me. Did she really? Wow, we had a 6 degrees of separation thing there.
That was like, that was a little
Eleniak
disappointing.
Being in a Steven Seagal movie
Kelly
and Kelly LeBrock marrying him. Which is funny. The guy I wanted to be was Steven Seagal when I was like younger. That was my favorite action star in the 80s and early 90s. I don't know why. I guess because he wasn't as fancy, maybe, and he was just kind of like, oh, I just talk like this and I kick a bunch of ass. And even though he basically made the same movie 4 times in a row with Alfred Justice, Hard to Kill,
The Woman in Red.
That was
the Gene Wilder, The Woman in Red.
I forget the other one.
But yeah.
But it was basically
she was married to Steven Seagal till 86. Oh my God. He talks the same in every movie and does the same move in every movie.
Oh, okay.
And vice.
They always like bend somebody's arm the wrong way. And there was always a pool table. Even in the one where they were in like the middle of nowhere, Alaska, there was a pool table. Always. He was like fighting with seals by his side and stuff, and always got to use the pool ball, the cue ball, put it in like a sock or whatever, or a handkerchief. And then he was a master of like the pool cue get broken in half.
Who is your number
2
one?
pieces too. I'm Steven Seagal. My number 1, and that's what I'm interesting to see if this matches up because we both said there's somebody that appeared weekly on TV.
One. Not mine though. So you have your number
mine
1 is all
Alyssa
your
Milano.
number 1. I thought about Alyssa Milano on my list, but I was like, she was a little too young. I've seen a little skeevy if I'd have put her on mine, so I had to leave her off my list.
I was probably, I think she was probably a couple years. Is a couple years older than I am.
Oh,
but we were close in age. I know that much. She was definitely at least a little bit older than me when I was watching Who's the Boss in the early days. And also, Leah Remini was her best friend in that show. And I love Leah Remini. Like, I think she's just a great actress.
The Beach Club.
She's just got a certain charisma about her that I like. Kind of got that.
Very. The Carosi.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Her dad was the boss. That,
my number,
of course, had it in for Zach. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that too, because somebody who originally was going to be who I had on this list, but then didn't make the final cut was Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Mark Voorhees, but Father Time has not been well with her.
Ooh, Lark Voorhees, nice.
And she got really weird also. So, and by the way, Jesse Spano never makes anyone's list. Did what? Why is that? That doesn't make any sense.
No. I don't know. I only like trash somebody because I feel it's rude, but I always thought she had kind of like horse face. And
my number 1
I'm also a short guy, so
appeared every week.
I was kind of intimidated
every
by
Thursday night.
Women.
This may be a giveaway. Lisa Bonet. Yes, Lisa Bonet. I actually remember the first time I saw Lisa Bonet, and it was not on the Cosby Show. she was doing a commercial for Nickelodeon. There you go. And I was like, who is that gorgeous girl? Never saw, and then boom, she pops up on the Cosby Show. But Lisa Bonet, who by the way, at like 60, is still, or she's not 60, maybe late 50s, middle 50s, late 50s, still a smoke show right now. If you have not seen her, oh my God. No, she is with some guy,
Really?
Game of Thrones guy, I think.
I mean, she's some not with Lenny anymore, right? Game of
Thrones or The Walking Dead, one of the two. But if to put it in baseball terms, she's still throwing in the mid to high 90s with late movement. That's how gorgeous Lisa Bonet still is. And when she might be better looking than her daughter, Zoe Kravitz. And that is saying a lot. So yeah, you can definitely tell that she got it from her mama.
Yeah. They look alike too. Like you can definitely tell that apple fell very close.
That's our list. Top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear, and of course depending on what area you grew up in, it's always going to be different. Like if I made a list from the 90s, it'd be very different. If I made a list today, it'd be very different.
Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we'll come.
Yeah, they're always good topics.
List Friday. Kind of thing too. There you go.
That's devote Fridays to lists. If other people,
there you go. List Friday.
Other people are chiming in with suggestions, maybe on Get Vocal. That would be cool. But I guess that's gonna. There we go. That'll be, I guess, wrapping it up for this week. 15 minutes a game on Get Vocal with Jay.